Coming up on Valley View News, the Anti-Recidivism Coalition keeps people who once were in prison from returning to prison. Plus, union members protest food for less, asking for higher wages. And we hear from a BLM protest and the victims of police brutality.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Ava Lang.
And I'm Andrea Esparza in the Digital Media Center.
Appointments are no longer required at Los Angeles vaccination sites. Mayor Eric Garcetti is expanding access to vaccinations. The city will administer more than 250,000 doses. Drive-through vaccination sites include Crenshaw Christian Center, Hanson Dam, and Dodger Stadium, which closes this month. Residents can go to walk-up sites at Cal State LA, USC, Lincoln Park, Pierce College, and San Fernando Park. Officials are now opening more walk-up and mobile vaccination sites closer to where people live.
White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci predicts the U.S. will be back to normal within the year if the majority of Americans get vaccinated.
I hope that next Mother's Day we're going to see a dramatic difference than what we're seeing right now. I believe that we will be about as close to back to normal as we can.
Since 12 to 15-year-olds can now get their shots, he also says people can now start wearing masks seasonally. Fauci added that the flu was essentially non-existent this past year because of face masks being used. He said next year at this time, about 80% of the country will be vaccinated.
Some Food for Less employees boycotted their own store hoping to get higher wages since they are considered essential workers. Our reporter Justin Miranda explains.
The United Food and Commercial Workers Union and some employees of Food for Less protested in front of the supermarket. They want customers to stop shopping at Food for Less for 2 hours in the afternoon today. Matt Bell of the UFCW union says they're doing this to help support the food workers.
Kroger, the parent company, has not been willing to give these workers what they deserve. The workers have basically put their lives on the line through this pandemic.
The workers' contract expired in March. They say now they want a new and more fair contract. Food for Less worker Patricia Garcia.
We'd like more money, of course. That's our top. But we also like, the part-timers to get more hours.
Many shoppers trying to buy groceries were surprised by the demonstration.
I actually don't know what's going on, but, apparently there's just some issues going on here, and
Kroger owns many other companies such as Ralph's, and the workers over there saying they're being treated fairly. Food for Less workers say they want the same thing. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Justin Miranda.
President Joe Biden is reversing a President Trump policy on gay and transgender rights. The U.S. will now protect gay and transgender people against sex discrimination in healthcare. The Trump administration defined sex as a given gender at birth, and that kept many transgender people from getting healthcare coverage. Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra said everyone, including the LGBTQ+ community, must have equal access to healthcare. This policy change reflects promises made by Biden during his presidential campaign.
A new Associated Press poll shows that President Biden has a steady approval rating from most Americans. People say they're happy with the way Biden handled the pandemic. In his fourth month, Biden's overall approval rating is 63%. 71% of Americans approve of the way he handled the pandemic, including 47% of Republicans. The AP NORC poll also shows a rise in Americans' overall optimism about the state of the country. 54% say the country is on the right track.
Governor Gavin Newsom announced his economic recovery plan. He wants to send new stimulus checks to more Californians. He said that 2 out of every 3 Californians will benefit from another stimulus check. This one will be worth $600, and families with children can receive an extra $500. This would be the greatest state tax rebate in U.S. history, totaling $75 billion.
Today, we're announcing a $75.7 billion budget surplus.
If approved, the plan will expand payments through the Golden State Stimulus Program to millions of people who earn less than $75,000 a year.
Last weekend, the Anti-Recidivism Coalition rallied in a city hall to support people who were caught up in the prison system. The group helps former and current incarcerated people rebuild their lives. Our reporter Casey Contreras has more.
The Anti-Recidivism Coalition, known as ARC, and the group Community X rallied at City Hall last weekend. They say they want to spread awareness and give a voice to those affected by the prison system. Community X founder Chloe Cheyenne says her story inspired her to help others.
Chicago police raided my grandmother's townhome on the south side of Chicago and opened fire on my dad, only to find out that they had the wrong address and it was a case of mistaken identity.
I'm just here today to represent support for those inside, support for my brother doing life.
People just should not be judged by the worst thing that they've ever done in their life.
Sam Lewis is executive director of ARC and a former prisoner. He says a great deal has been done to reform the prison system, but still more needs to be done. Also, he thinks society should accept that ex-convicts can be rehabilitated.
What I really want people to know is that people can change. I'm a clear example of people that can change. All of these people are here are a clear example of people that can change.
I did 14 years. I was incarcerated as a youth.
Weston Dennett was in the youth authority system. Later, he was transferred to an adult prison. That's where he got involved with ARC.
The ARC helped me in many ways with groups as far as anger management, with the override. They helped me with certificates. It took a couple weeks off of my sentence.
Community X and ARC continue to help the youth both inside and outside of the justice system. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Casey Contreras.
7 people died in a shooting at a birthday party in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It happened on Mother's Day. Colorado Springs police say the suspect drove to the home where the party was being held, and he then opened fire before turning the gun on himself.
Officers arrived on scene and have located multiple deceased parties. Preliminary information indicates at this point in time, we believe that the individual, the suspect responsible for the shootings, is also on scene and also deceased.
He's alleged to be the ex-boyfriend of one of the victims. Police are still seeking a motive for the massacre. Victims' names won't be released until families are notified.
New York City police identified a suspect in the Times Square shooting last weekend. Officials say Farrakhan Muhammad attempted to shoot his brother after an argument, but 3 bystanders were shot instead, including a 4-year-old girl. Police officer Alyssa Vogel picked up the little girl and rushed her to a nearby ambulance, followed by the girl's mother.
And I was just telling her, we're on the way to the hospital. Your daughter's going to be okay. Just breathe with me. Everything's going to be okay. I just wanted to reassure her that we were doing everything that we could at that time.
All victims are recovering from non-life-threatening injuries.
A Russian criminal group is suspected in a ransomware attack that shut down a major U.S. gasoline pipeline on Sunday. The Colonial Pipeline supplies fuels to parts of the South and most of the Northeast. The group is known to authorities as Dark Side. It's a relatively new cybercrime syndicate, but it has a sophisticated approach to cyber extortion. Homeland Security Advisor Elizabeth Sherwood Randall said the government is helping Colonial Pipeline restart its 5,500-mile pipeline network.
Thus far, Colonial has told us that it has not suffered damage and can be brought back online relatively quickly, but that safety is a priority, given that it has never before taken the entire pipeline down.
The Colonial Pipeline is the nation's largest gasoline pipeline.
Every Wednesday, Black Lives Matter LA holds a rally calling for more accountability among police officers. Our reporter Gina Wong spoke with family members of those who've been killed in officer-involved shootings.
They're safe and you're okay.
The families of loved ones whose lives were taken by police shootings understand why some people don't like the police. On the street in front of the ACLU, Black Lives Matter LA holds a weekly protest to end police associations. They say police aren't held accountable for some shootings.
You have the family of Daniel Hernandez.
His sister Marina Vergara says he was killed after being shot 6 times in South LA by Officer Tony McBride. After the first 2 shots, he was no longer a threat, but the officer still continued shooting.
The Police Commission Board ruled that the last 2 shots were out of policy.
Deanna Sullivan says her unarmed 19-year-old son was killed by Buena Park police. She claims the police didn't follow proper protocol when they shot her son 7 times.
They didn't try talking to him. They did not try to de-escalate the situation. They just started shooting. And they claimed they were scared.
However, BLM LA organizer Tabitha Jones-Jolivet thinks she knows why some people would support the police.
I think so often people don't understand, 1, what unions are, and 2, there's sort of an acceptance of policing when it's not harming your particular community.
The goal of the protest was to defund the police, but BLM LA wants to use that money to fund mental health services for children. Reporting out Los Angeles for Valley View News, I'm Gina Wong.
More to come on Valley View News. An out-of-control Chinese rocket safely returns to Earth, landing in the sea. And a 62-year-old ex-convict takes on a new title as a Cal State Long Beach alumnus.
Now let's go to Studio B, where Lizeth Seha updates us on how some countries are celebrating International Women's Day, the Pope, and the Bolivian election.
French women's rights activists gathered in Paris Sunday to protest sexism and sexual violence. It was a day before International Women's Day. In France, reports of domestic violence increased by 40% during the first coronavirus lockdown. The increase was 60% for the second lockdown. Activists held banners reading "Stop Femicide" as they marched at France's Republic Plaza. Similar street protests occurred around the world. The American Socialist Party created the first International Women's Day. In 1908, a group of about 15,000 women marched in New York City, demanding shorter working hours, better pay, and the right to vote. Pope Francis' historic trip to Iraq ended last Sunday. He visited Mosul and Karakosh. The cities were destroyed by the war against ISIS. He led prayers for the shrinking population of Iraqi Christians. Pope Francis told them that hope is more powerful than hatred. He condemned ISIS terrorism while encouraging peace and forgiveness. The Pope ended the trip with his largest mass in the stadium of Erbil. Thousands attended, including some ISIS escapees. The Pope is being applauded for his potentially risky visit. President Biden says the trip is a symbol of hope for the entire world. In Bolivia, despite the increase in COVID-19 cases, over 7 million people will vote at polling stations. Voting is mandatory. 9 governors and over 335 mayors will be elected. Johns Hopkins University says Bolivia has reported more than 250,000 COVID-19 cases. There have been 11,800 deaths. Bolivia's President Salvador Romero approved holding the 2 elections during the pandemic. Last week, Ethiopia and Sri Lanka received batches of COVID-19 vaccines under the World Health Organization's COVAX plan. 2.2 million vaccines went to Ethiopia, 264,000 went to Sri Lanka. The COVAX program makes sure the poor and developing countries get access to COVID-19 vaccines. Both countries are working on a plan to roll out the vaccines to high-priority groups. An explosion in Guinea killed 31 people last weekend. More than 600 people were injured. The bomb was planted in a military base camp in the main city of Bata. Volunteers and state emergency workers rushed to rescue people. Officials say the cause was badly stored dynamite along with dry vegetation farmers were burning nearby. President Obiang said the blast happened because of major negligence by managers who were supposed to care of the unit. The opposition in Guinea are asking for aid from the U.S., Spain, and France. I'm Lisette Ceja in Studio B. Back to you in the studio.
The owner of a unique gym wants to help people reach their fitness goal by bringing the gym to their location. Valley View reporter Jordan Henry reports on how the gym helps keep people safe from the coronavirus.
Since the pandemic hit, many more people are looking for safer workout and exercise options.
Good.
With that in mind, Alex Marina started his company, TrackFit.
I wanted to be unique with it.
He wants people to work out in safety, so he takes the mobile gym to them.
I just came up with the mobile gym concept.
Since most of the gyms in California are closed, some people are finding it hard to get motivated to work out.
There we go.
Personal trainer Chris Pinello says they can book a mobile gym.
Good.
They'll bring the gym to you for all your fitness needs.
We can go to a lake, or we can go down the beach somewhere else, or a different park, or right in front of your doorstep, quite honestly.
It's simple to set up. The company delivers innovative fitness equipment and programs to you. A personal trainer is included along with nutritional guidance to help people reach their fitness goals. Social distancing protocols are practiced as well.
COVID happened, nobody can go inside. It's just a lot smarter to have it outside, and it's kind of cool, honestly, that you can just take this anywhere with you, put it on the back of a truck.
The owner of TrapFit plans on opening more fitness gyms and helping people reach their fitness goals, all in a safe environment. For Valley View News, I'm Jordan Henry.
Team LeBron beat Team Durant in Sunday night's NBA All-Star Game. Giannis Antetokounmpo wins his first All-Star MVP award thanks to a perfect 16 for 16 shooting performance. Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard had a memorable shooting night, making several shots from the half-court range. After his win for Team LeBron, LeBron James is now 4-0 as captain in the All-Star Game. The NBA's regular season starts Wednesday, with the Wizards facing the Grizzlies.
The NBA Commissioner Adam Silver won't require players to get COVID-19 vaccine. He believes players will choose to do what makes their lives simpler. Silver said it's a personal decision.
I think ultimately these are personal decisions that players need to make, just like everyone in our communities need to make.
NBA health and safety protocols require players to be tested up to 3 times a day. If they were in contact with someone who tested positive, they must quarantine. The NBA postponed 31 games due to health and safety protocols.
Because of the pandemic, it's been too many months without football for some high school players. But the Bishop Alemany High School football team is back to practicing. There are some changes though. Valley View News reporter Adam Roman spoke to the team about how they adjusted.
Students and faculty all over the country are adapting to returning to school again during the pandemic. Bishop Alemany High School's football team has started practicing, and the team could not be more excited. Running back coach Iyande Bomani says he is happy to see the players back on the field.
Our Alemany kids, I'm super happy to see them get a chance to prove how good they are and how diligent they are. So it ain't really about football, it's about people who have stick-to-itiveness.
Good job, kid. Not only are the coaches ready to start practices once again, but so are the players. It has been difficult for student athletes to stay home for so many months without football. Sophomore Isaiah Chisholm says it has been a challenge to follow COVID protocols, but he is glad to be practicing.
And then all these regulations we got to keep on following. But being back out here is really good. All our spirits are really up. It's just good to be back.
The team is ready for the season to begin. They have been overcoming so many obstacles that the pandemic has thrown at them so far. The coaches have even seen the hard work and dedication that the players have put into their craft.
They never gave up, and they kept going, they moved up, and now we're here, now we just got to do what we know we could do.
Bishop Alemany's football team continues to take safety protocols to keep playing this year. Their season starts at home against Notre Dame High School on March 19th. Reporting in Mission Hills for Valley View News, I'm Adam Roman.
When we come back, we'll cover the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards and the performance lineup. Also, CSUN alum Danny Trejo drafted into the LAFC. Stay with us.